What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XPR network today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get into it. Okay, here we are, sitting at about half a cent. Yesterday, I made the call while we were green and while we were basically at these highs that I expected that we would consolidate probably between now and the middle of next week, maybe even going into the end of this week here. Right, we are at the very beginning, 6 days, 22 hours left. At the very least, for a couple days, a few days, if not more, I shouldn't even say more likely. If you don't consolidate for a few days, you'll consolidate for like a week or so. But I certainly would expect that by the end of this month, if not even by the end of this week, you are pursuing highs past this high and to new all-time highs as well. I do assume that by the end of the month, which that's this line here, by this line, you will be above this line here, right? So your time spent in this little box that you're in right now, it's short-lived. You're going to be breaking out very, very soon, okay? But for the time being, and I remember what I was saying in yesterday's video was that we find support on this line all the time, right, on the daily trend. You've been finding support here time and time again. But when you find support, you move up, and then you consolidate, and then you complete your move. You find support, you consolidate a little bit, you completed your move there, to be fair, but here you moved up, consolidated, here you moved up, consolidated, here you moved up, came back down, and then you completed your move, right? Every time you bounce off of this, it seems that no matter how high you get, no matter how low you are, it seems to consolidate a little bit before exacting your final approach to, or your final targets, right? So I'm assuming here you're just loading up, you're getting ready for that next phase to the upside, right? If we look at this from a relative high to a relative low here, and each of those times, it's kind of different each of those times. So, from here, from this low to that high, I guess you didn't actually really consolidate. It doesn't look too much like you consolidated. I don't know. I don't want to go over all that. But generally speaking, I feel like these phases of consolidation are pretty long-lived. They're like multiple weeks. I don't think this is going to last for multiple weeks. That's all I was trying to say about that last part. I think that this will last for a couple of days to maybe a week at the most because of where you are in the RSI, right? Where you are does matter. Whenever you're up above the 60, whenever you're getting readings that are up above the 60 consistently, it's just a matter of time before you break out to that overbought zone. I would be worried, in fact, if you were consolidating in this area and you didn't see the overbought zone by the end of this week or early next week. I'd be kind of concerned because that would be abnormal. If you do things that suggest that you go higher but you don't, that might mean that inevitably you go lower. You know what I mean? So I do believe you're going to go higher. Let's talk about that, right? High to low of this range here. You've gone from your low all the way up to your 618, 786 area, pulled back. Kind of abnormal. I will say kind of abnormal, but XPR, if I remember correctly, it's kind of a low market cap, isn't it? Yeah, 134 million. It's a low market cap coin, right? Decent volume, low market cap. It's okay that you're a little bit obscure in these fibs. Nonetheless, being productive, you're getting higher highs here, relatively speaking, which is nice. Tipping the 786, it's very common when tipping the 786 to pull back to the 0.5 or even the 382. I don't think you do that here, but just be aware. You could pull back to about 0.0039 to 0.0033. I don't think you do that. I want to be clear. I don't think you do that. I think you actually hold the 618 as support because oftentimes whenever you reject the 786 and you go to the 0.5 or you go to the 382, oftentimes whenever you see that kind of behavior, it's after the first attempt, right? Here's your low, moving all the way up here. This was your first attempt. And you kind of already, you fell shy of the 786, you went just below the 0.5. You've kind of already had the move that I was just talking about. You've already done that. So I think you're going to be rather productive here. I think that what you would like to see is find support at the 618. That sets you up for a nice bullish trajectory. At the very least, find support on the 0.5. I would like you to find support on the 0.5 at the very least. Like if you were to drop below the golden ratio, it's not a problem. If you drop below the 0.5, it's not a problem. But I'd like you to find support there because you get this higher low. You'd be productive on the fibs, higher lows with relative higher highs. Yes, these are lower highs. I understand that. But just relative to the high to low of this fib range, you would be productive. So at least hold 0.00394. If you wick below there, that's okay, but I'd prefer it if you at least close above here, right? Don't wick below here, but just close there. If not, even just close above the 618 and prevent that all. So I think depending on how you do this, it might determine how fast we're going to break out of this. Okay, this might determine it. So today, 21 hours, 40 minutes left in the day, strong possibility, and we'll see. Let's do some short-term analysis after I say what I'm about to say here. You're going to do one of two things, right? Either today you're going to bounce, you're going to find support on that 618, and then that likely sets you up for, likely by the end of this week you will be above half a cent. You'll probably be upwards toward 0.69 cents or higher, right? If you bounce off the 618 today, it gets you set up for continuing this move rather immediately. If you don't and you go to the 0.5, you're still going to continue this move, but instead of you know, maybe tomorrow or the next day, it would probably be reserved for the end of this week, if not even the beginning of next week, which means that you'd spend the rest of this week consolidating. Consolidating doesn't mean you go down the whole week. It just means, you know, you'll be between this high and wherever your low is. You'll be in this range until you're ready, right? So you can move down rather immediately over the next 3 days, and then over the next 3 days you can continue to move up, but you're not breaking out until you're out of this range. Which, if you were to go below the golden ratio, if you were to go to the 0.5, I would think you don't break out of this range until next week, not this week. If you find support on the golden ratio, I think you would find a breakout move or continuation of this breakout move. You're in a breakout move now, but continuation of it would happen probably tomorrow or the next day, right? If you find support on it today. Depending on how it looks, just because you find support on it doesn't mean you can't go lower. Let's analyze this. Okay, so looking at the 4-hour time frame, looking at the RSI, to me, it would make a lot of sense that you go down, right? You've got these. Is this coming in line? Hold on. Does this go all the way back down to here? No, it doesn't. Okay, kind of. Yeah, it kind of comes in line with that. Kind of. That might just be a coincidence with that low there to these highs. It's not really respected anywhere else, but it almost looked like it wanted to respect these lows here with this high. It kind of actually does look rather well. I wonder, just real quick, what about that? No, it's not parallel. Anyways, the highs, whatever, who cares? All I'm focusing on is these lows here. I got distracted with the highs. You're overbought. You could come all the way down here and getting to not your oversold areas, but near your oversold areas where you are now in the RSI, going that low. I mean, that would likely send you down to the areas that I was talking about, the 0.5. That would probably send you down below 0.004, okay? If you were to see this thing getting down to these areas, okay? I'm not saying that you have to. Just because your lows are here, you have a higher low right here, and there's a trend line here, doesn't mean that you have to go down there. You could find support right here and move up. There's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, I think if we see this, let's just look at this for an example, right? Lows here, you found support there, you found support there, okay? Whenever you, oh, God, I hate whenever that happens. I right click instead of left click on accident. Then I have to draw it all again. Okay, so from the high here, it would make sense after this rather immaculate peak, you'd probably return all the way down here, except you didn't, did you? You found support right here, and then you still went up and got overbought. It would make sense after finding resistance here, you'd get down to this line, but you didn't, did you? You found support just above it. So I'm just saying, just because there's an imaginary line here that we drew that we connected the dots with, it doesn't mean that you have to go down there, okay? I'm not completely convinced that you go down there. All I'm saying by this is that it's a possibility, it would make sense, it would be totally fine, it would look good from a structural standpoint, even if from 0.00493 right now you dropped all the way down today, tomorrow, over the next day, whatever, all the way down to prices that are below 0.004, all the way down to 0.0039. As long as you're not going below this low, I'm not concerned. And I personally don't think you go below this low. Even if, I shouldn't even say that, because even if you go below this low, I'm still not concerned. It's just, it would put off the higher targets to a later date. Okay, that's all it would do. I want to look at the 1 hour time frame to see if we can discern this a little bit more. Yeah, the 1 hour looks like it wants to go lower rather immediately. But you're probably at the end of your downtrend here, right? Your downtrend here, lower highs, lower lows. Once you get into the oversold zone, you can't really continue your downtrend because you can't go below the 0, right? So this next push might be the last one. Being on your 1 hour, this is actually a good argument for finding support on your golden ratio. So this does not help me at all. The 4 hour, it kind of helps me, because what this makes me think is that you actually do, not that golden ratio, I'm sorry. Let me go to the 4 hour here. Get this high to low. Yeah, the golden ratio is at 0.00466. This 1 hour, I could see that happening. I could see that, yeah. And you find support. Oh no, we're on the 4 hour here, right? The 1 hour, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was about to say, I was like, actually the 4 hour looks like you could go a lot lower, but it was the 4 hour. So the 1 hour, yeah, I think a little bit of a kiss just below the oversold zone, something like what you saw here, right? That would take you right to this line at 0.00466. You might even go below it and find support right at your relative 0.5 area. A lot of cryptos have been finding support there. What you could do is close above the 618, right? Remember, if we zoom out here, that white line is the 618, the golden ratio of this overall high to low in this consolidation zone, okay? So the 618, you might find support there on a closing basis, but you could wick down to the green line, the 0.5. So many cryptos, you guys are finding support or resistance on their 0.5s. I'm very confident. I'm the most confident right now that I've been in this video that you do not go below whatever that number is there, below 0.00454. If you do, Tons of support around 0.004, 0.0039 and lower. Tons of support there. But I have a theory that you're going to probably close above the white line here at 0.00466 on a hourly basis, on a 4-hourly basis. And then you're going to at least wick down to 0.00454. I say at least, at most, I should say. That's my expectation. If you drop more than that, if you drop more than what my expectations are, it's not a bad thing. We've already discussed that, right? So hopefully it's not concerning. I will say this, though, to add to my point that I don't think that we go below this line. If you look at this, right, look at this as a move up. I'm going to take away everything and then we'll bring it back. The fibs are important. I know all these lines are a bit of a headache, but if you can bear with me here, I'll get rid of the RSI so it's a little bit less of a headache, but just bear with me here, okay? So we moved up. Undeniably, this move here, that was our move up, okay? This is a correction. We expect that we're going to continue to move up, right? So if we expect that we're going to continue to move up, any drawbacks are just corrections, right? Just like here, you moved up, you had a consolidation period, it was correction, you moved up, you corrected here, you moved up, now we're correcting again. But this correction seems a bit more pronounced, in my opinion, relative to this move, right? It seems like it's more of a pivotal moment here. And with these kind of more pivotal, why do I keep saying pivotal corrections, you'll get a 1, 2, 3-legged move. And in fact, by Elliott Wave theory, by the definition of Elliott Wave theory, these corrective waves are ABC patterns, right? Literally here, A, B, C, except this one's a downward sloping correction. I should have done it like this. So from a high to a low, A, B, C, that would be your correction. And the C wave going down to the 0.5 right there, the third wave down, the third leg, the final leg, that makes a lot of sense. Going down to the golden ratio, or sorry, going down all the way down here to this 0.5, it could make sense, but that's a very extended C wave for this corrective phase. Oftentimes the C wave is the biggest phase, but I think going to the 0.5, that still makes it bigger, and oftentimes enough too, they're actually very similar, the A and the C. The B is always the smallest, but all that to say, it looks to me, now we can take everything away, right, because we've got all of our fibs on there. It's not relevant anymore. It looks to me as if we've gone down, we've gone up, and now we have one leg down left, right? It's a 1, 2, 3 corrective wave. So definitely a little bit lower, but looking at this more, I think targets below 0.004, they're not off the table, but I consider them a lot less now than I did whenever we first started doing the short-term analysis. So a little bit lower, that should be encouraging. If anybody's looking to buy XPR, that should be encouraging, guys. We've got lower prices to go, and it's just more opportune. That means that whenever it does pump, you're going to get more gains overall. If we look at this thing from an overall perspective, I love this chart, man. It's beautiful. I don't care who you are. If you look at any chart that looks like this, right? Huge down move, huge rounding of the bottom. You gotta love a rounded bottom, man. It looks so perfect. It literally does. And you've got this double bottom look. It's almost like a W shape. This kind of look, take it with you, put this in your back pocket and pull it out later, man. This is picture perfect. This is what you want to see. And you're just getting things started. You've just broken above this. You back tested this for support. Absolutely, you're not stopping here. You're going higher, okay? I think that this move, right, if you consider this from a low to a high, that was one move there. Look at this downward sloping move. You corrected, and look at that. 1, 2, 3. I'm just saying there. Another corrective move here. 1, 2, 3. Corrective moves are three wave patterns. And I don't know if these are both corrective moves. I'm not the best with Elliott Wave theory, but just as a point of example there. I forget where I was going before I got distracted there. All I'm trying to say is if this was a move, right? You had stopping points. That's what I was saying. You have stopping points along the way, but that was your whole move. If this is your move, you have stopping points along the way, but your whole move, I think, is going to take you up to where these highs are back here. I think you're going to go back here. At the very least, I would suspect that you at least interact with this closing high point here. But likely, I think that you move all the way up here. I think this move ends all the way up at about 5 cents. At the least, 2.5 cents. You're worth half a cent now and you're going lower. Right. Opportunity, my friends, opportunity. From the current price, just looking at the price perspective alone, the minimum target would be about a 400% growth, almost a 5X. And the maximum would be about a 10X right there. You could go higher, of course. This is crypto. This is a very ferocious and beautiful looking bottom, man. That is lethal right there, to say the least, right? When you have a bottom like the North Star, wise men will follow. But man, 900% might not even be the top of it. It really could go higher. It really could go higher. But I'm personally expecting that something between this high and this high, likely, I don't even know if between is the right word, but likely either this line or this line. It's possible you could find support or resistance somewhere in between. Let's look at the fibs. Let's see what they say. So if we take a high here, a high here to a low here. Your 2618, okay, it's just below that line. You could find resistance just below this line. You don't have to go, just because I put a white line there doesn't mean you have to go to 2.475 cents. You might stop at 2.275 cents, and that's fine, whatever. 2618, very possible target to stop at. Okay, you could go higher. You found resistance here at the 1886. Maybe you find resistance at the 2886, in which case it's not at either of these levels like I was just saying, but it's in between, which again, I wouldn't necessarily expect, but the 2886 there, being that you found resistance at the 1886, you guys, I can't tell you how often that I see whenever you pull back. Look at this. This is the perfect moment actually to talk about this right here. You found resistance at the 1886, just below it, sure, but then you found support at the 886. Wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't it be serendipitous if you kept up this 886 trend and you found resistance right there at the 2886? I wonder from a high to low, is that the 1886 all the way up there? The 1886 is almost right there too, guys. Like, I can't make this up. It's perfect. You probably do go above 2.5 cents. That's my thoughts. And then the 3113 all the way up here at about just below 5 cents, right? I think that that's fair. If you were to go higher, maybe you go as high as 8.8 to 11 cents, but that can be your moon boy hopium. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, but likely if we're staying ground level, something in this kind, and this isn't even ground level, man. We're going to Mars here, but this is at least still somewhat realized, right? This is something that's possible. I don't see you going anywhere less than 2.5 cents by the end of March, okay? You're in the middle of your move now. You're consolidating. Likely by the end of this week, you break out. If you find support at the areas that I'm thinking you find support at, if you go lower, then maybe sometime next week you break out. Again, I would expect that you find support around your what was it, like 0.00466, something like that area, or 446. What was it? Probably something around this line right here. That's your 14142. It's perfect. And then the rest of the week, the end of the week, going from like Wednesday to the end of the week, maybe even tomorrow to the end of the week, I think that you will begin moving higher. You won't be above this high by the end of the week. You will be above this high by the end of the week if you find support at the areas that I'm saying you find support at. And then going into the end of the month, the following week, we will be at new relative highs on our expansive non-ending journey to 2.5 cents or 5 cents. I say non-ending journey. It's going to end here though. That's where I think it's going to end. And even then, it's still going to go higher. It's still going to go higher. But that might be where we see a more consistent area of consolidation, something that lasts more than just 3 weeks. Maybe it only lasts 3 weeks. Maybe we genuinely consolidate here for only 3 weeks. Maybe it's 4 weeks, however long. But I definitely don't think that it stops there. I do believe that XPR will be worth multiple dollars by the end of this cycle, you guys. I genuinely do. Let's confirm that here, right? XPR, $134 million market cap. To get to 100x, that'd be a $13 billion market cap. A 100x from here would put you at about a 49-cent price at $13 billion. That's a very attainable market cap. It's not a small accomplishment at all. It's no small feat, but a $13 billion market cap, come on, that's attainable, man. A $26 billion market cap's attainable. $26 billion on a market cap basis would put you at about $1. $26 billion is attainable. $52 billion is attainable. When I say this thing could be worth multiple dollars by the end of the cycle, I genuinely mean that, okay? I genuinely mean that. And beyond all of that, from this relative high here to this relative low here, your 1.618 golden ratio is at 80 cents. Your 1.886, which you've found a lot of significance on, it's at 267. And when you get to this 267 to 447 area, that's about the limits of what I could see this thing achieving by ways of the market cap. So that makes sense as a maximum target. I think 80 cents is a good minimum target. Either way, over a 100x from the current price, likely going to do phenomenal growth here in the short term. I got nothing else for you. If you like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.